If you've been on YouTube for long enough, you've probably seen different trends come up and then die a few years later. This can be seen with everything from dream to prank channels. The main reason these trends die is because they fail to innovate, right? If you don't keep your consumers happy and interested in new, different stuff, they're going to just leave and go on to the next thing. This can literally be seen with Dream right now. He's losing a lot of the viewers because he wasn't really able to innovate, right? It's just Minecraft videos, not a ton you can do with that, and you can see with his face reveal stuff right now that he's kind of trying to capitalize off what he has left. Now, I want to talk about a specific cancerous trend called ElsaGate that was really prevalent on YouTube Kids in 2016 and 17. Now, this refers to a very bad type of kids content that used a lot of like bright thumbnails and stuff that just appealed to young kids to make a shitload of money. As we'll see later in the video, this eventually got a little bit more dark, but during the beginning it was relatively safe. A lot of content on YouTube will appeal to kids even though it's not necessarily made for them. Think about someone like PewDiePie back in 2014 and 13. His videos appealed to kids because he was playing games that they liked, but his content wasn't necessarily geared for them. I think he swore in his older videos, so it's not something that parents want their kids seeing, but kids definitely want to see it. This led to a sort of mini scandal in which parents would complain to YouTube that their kids were finding inappropriate stuff on YouTube, even though by the terms of service on YouTube, it was allowed to be up, so there was pretty much nothing YouTube could do, and it was more on the parents for allowing their children to go into a site made for teenagers and adults. But YouTube obviously didn't want to lose out on a huge chunk of their viewer base, so they decided to make YouTube Kids, launching it in 2015. YouTube Kids was designed specifically to house content geared towards kids. Think about someone like Ryan's Toys Review. No one over the age of 8 is watching that channel, so he'll just go to YouTube Kids where all of his audience would go. And then parents can feel good because they'll know their kid isn't going to find something inappropriate on YouTube Kids. But the people who liked it the most were advertisers because they could advertise onto content that was supposed to be completely clean. If an advertiser puts their advertisement on something that is like an iDubbbz video or a Sam Hyde video, they probably aren't going to like that because most people don't agree with what they're saying in those videos, even if they're allowed on YouTube's terms of service. Meanwhile, on YouTube Kids, it's going to be completely family-friendly stuff that makes the advertiser in return look good. Advertisers also really liked YouTube Kids because they could market directly to kids. Think about it, a kid will fall for an advertisement a lot more than an adult, so it makes sense that you would be willing to pay more to advertise to a kid because it's more likely they're going to buy your product. So that's exactly what they did, and it made YouTube a safe haven for getting basically anything monetized. Now, people who were already familiar with how YouTube worked were looking at YouTube Kids with envy because every single video was getting monetized with a higher CPM than would be normal on normal YouTube. So they started to move over, especially prank channels. Prank channels at the time were dying, so they just hopped on a new trend. And we got such classics as Webs and Tiaras and a few other animation channels that really hit it big at the start of what would be known as ElsaGate. This beginning phase really had two types of content. It had firstly live action videos where multiple adults would act out skits, I guess you would call it. Really, they're just running around not doing anything. The videos are really boring, but they would dress up as like superheroes and Disney princesses and shit like that to appeal to kids, obviously, because they know those properties. The second type is animation videos. These would basically, it's basically just like Gacha Life, if you know what that is, and it would again be with characters that kids would know, mainly Mickey Mouse it seems like on the animated ones. I don't know why. This beginning phase of ElsaGate was definitely weird, right? The costumes in the live action ones were really shitty. It looked like they had no production cost on either types of content, and people took notice of this, especially commentary channels who made fun of these channels. People like Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers, H3H3, and Memulous all made videos basically just laughing at how shitty these other videos were.
For cheating on that lovely, beautiful Minnie. Oh my god. They just have more and more. These are actual babies animated to piss into each other's fucking mouth.
Lost new baby in the park, and they've somehow managed to spell baby wrong.
The content was definitely cringe and weird, and a few of the videos were kind of unsettling, but at the end of the day, it was relatively harmless. A lot of kids shows that run on like Cartoon Network or something would be seen as weird by adults, and if you go back and watch a lot of those shows, they definitely do seem weird to like a normal functioning human that's not 8 years old. So at the end of the day, is there really anything to critique here? Well, sort of. A lot of people would levy the claim that these channels were were view botting, considering the fact that videos would have upwards of 5 million views, yet only have a few hundred comments, and that isn't really usually how it works. Usually comments are about 10 to 20% of the views, same thing with likes and dislikes, yet these would only have a few hundred. But this could be explained by view botting, obviously, but also it could be explained by just kids not wanting to comment or not knowing how to comment. Now, this is about 6 months after this initial phase of ElsaGate happens, and these channels are on top of the world. They're racking in tens of millions of views per video, and this is when shit starts to get really weird. For some reason, these videos took a very weird turn to like very violent thumbnails and very sexual themes within the videos. A lot of these also have like weird fetishes like needles, piss, shit. It's just disgusting shit that no adult wants to see, let alone have their like 6-year-old kids see. This is also when the civil war between live action videos and animation videos ended, with animation videos being the clear victor. This is because animation allowed you to do a lot more of this unsettling weird shit than live action would. Animation videos were also a lot easier to produce en masse. Considering this whole thing started out as a way to make money, the best way to make money is to be ruthlessly efficient, and I mean, they were. They would use bootleg studios in India to mass produce these animation channels. Then, one guy would create an MCN, a multi-channel network, and have 50 different channels on that MCN. Each one of these 50 channels would then post nearly identical animated videos using the same like violent sexual themes that we've talked about before, and they would rack in 10 million views plus each video. This would net the MCN owner a ton of money. They also use the algorithm to their advantage. The thing about the YouTube algorithm is that it works very well, but there's one thing kind of bad about it. Let's say you're watching PewDiePie solely, new channel, only watch PewDiePie videos. The algorithm will mainly recommend you other PewDiePie videos because that's what you want to watch, but it'll also recommend you, let's say, Markiplier, because it is forced to give you some variety of content so you don't think YouTube is just PewDiePie's platform. The animation studios use this to their advantage. Think about it. If you were watching, let's say, an animation channel called Animation Kids Fun, and then it was forced to give you 90% other Animation Kids Fun videos, but also a different animation channel, likelihood is that animation channel and Animation Kids Have Fun are owned by the same guy. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what video you click on, you're giving the same guy your view. Now, around this time, a channel called The Finger Family was dropping the hottest nursery rhymes on the block. They also used a, let's say, historical character from World War II to portray the characters in these nursery rhymes. I'm 90% this dude is just like a troll, but it really showed how insane these videos were, considering I'm debating with myself whether the channel showing Hitler in a bikini is a troll or not. Well, at this point, the content was definitely out there and weird, and it was going down a path of degeneracy. It wasn't necessarily all of the videos doing this, and news articles would come out basically talking about how weird this trend is and how much money people are making off of it. They didn't necessarily directly condemn YouTube or the trend itself, more just pointing out the fact that it's really weird that this is even popular in the first place. Eventually, this would continue to go on, and the violent and sexual themes would become more and more prominent in the videos, and eventually this would catch the eyes of a lot of groups online, specifically the X-board of 4chan. This is where the term ElsaGate first pops up on the internet. Obviously, it's named after the fact that a lot of these videos have Elsa in them. It's also named after Watergate. Side note, we really got to stop naming things after Watergate, okay? That shit happened like 80 years ago, and it's not even that cool. On a scale of like scandals, it's like a 2. He just tried to rig an election. I'm sure there's a cooler thing out there when you start naming shit after. Now, with this stuff continuing to grow in popularity, X and other groups on Twitter tried to figure out what was going on and do some research into these channels. They figured out two main things. Firstly, they figured out that the location of these channels was usually in either Eastern Europe or India or Vietnam. Now, this makes a lot of sense because these countries are relatively poor, but this doesn't mean that channels didn't exist in the USA or Canada. One of the biggest channels, Webs and Tiara, I believe was based out of Canada, so it shows that really anyone who was greedy was trying to hop on this trend. Now, the people on X and the Twitter groups both thought that they knew the motivation behind why these channels were getting so dark. X thought that the reason these channels were getting so dark was because they were trying to set up a decentralized pedophile ring, where they would convince kids that these sexual fetishes were fine, and then it would allow them to prey on them easily. This doesn't make a ton of sense. Firstly, this is a logistical nightmare for anyone to do. Secondly, because so many of these channels were in third world countries, it's arguably easier to just kidnap a kid in India and have human traffic him to like Russia or somewhere than to set up a whole decentralized pedophile ring globally. It doesn't make a lot of logistical sense if we're just going purely by numbers. The Twitter groups, on the other hand, had a more rational reason as to why it might be getting more dark. Their idea was that these channels were trying to exploit kids' natural morbid curiosity, and if you think about it, this actually makes a lot of sense. If you're around during the creepypasta phase of YouTube, you probably clicked on a lot of videos that you thought were scary and would watch them all the way through because you were morbidly curious about them. This is just the same shit turned up to 11 on younger kids, so it's arguably a lot worse than the creepypasta shit, but still in the same vein. Now, another theory that I personally have is that the YouTube algorithm, either through some glitch or unexpected design choice, promotes darker content over lighter content. For me personally, this makes sense. I always get a ton of those iceberg videos in my recommended, even though I'm only subbed to one guy who makes them. These videos usually go over dark stuff like serial killers or conspiracy theories, and I'm sure a ton of you guys have also gotten these in your recommended. A lot of the times, these videos will also have a few million views, but the channels will only have a few thousand subs, showing that maybe they just got promoted in the algorithm a ton past what a normal video would be. Now remember how I said that the YouTube algorithm is really good at doing what it's designed for. It is really good at promoting videos that you want to see and that you've already shown interest in, and promoting new channels that make the same type of content. But what if this could be exploited for nefarious purposes by like a pedophile ring or something like that? But you know, it's YouTube. People aren't posting shit like that. It's against the TOS, so that would never happen. Right? That would never happen, right?
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
Now, what would happen is that young girls would post videos of themselves and their friends doing just casual shit, right? I know that me and my brother and sister had videos like these. Luckily, none of this shit happened to us, so I mean, I'm glad for that. But what would happen is that predators would find these videos of young girls, then share them with other predators, and these videos would get thousands of views. Predators would also share links in the comments to actual CP and just completely degenerate shit. And YouTube couldn't really do anything about this because they're not going to check every link that every single guy is posting in the comment section, so there's no way to really deal with this problem, at least on the surface. While the predator problem continued to grow, ElsaGate was also growing to tremendous proportions. Channels that had used to be bringing in only 100 to 200 million views per month would now be bringing in upwards of 10 billion views per month, bringing home literal millions of dollars in cash straight from YouTube themselves. This would come to a head in 2017 when news agencies like the New York Times would post articles critiquing YouTube for allowing the predator thing to happen and simultaneously going very hard on the ElsaGate stuff, saying that it was complete degenerate shit and that YouTube Kids is not actually a safe space for kids. With the combination of YouTube seemingly catering videos for pedophiles and having YouTube Kids not being a safe space, advertisers were threatening to pull out. Add to the fact that the PewDiePie situation was happening and everything was in a perfect shitstorm for YouTube to the point where the company was at the point of collapse. Advertisers were pulling out, people were making video after video critiquing the platform itself, articles were constantly being written, and YouTube was on the verge of collapse. Knowing that the platform was on the verge of collapse, the heads at YouTube knew they needed to act fast, and they did that. Firstly, they dealt with the ElsaGate thing, banning hundreds of channels off of YouTube Kids, deleting thousands of hours of content every day, adding more moderators to the moderator team, and demonetizing over 1,000 channels to basically cut the head off the Hydra where it started. If you're demonetized or your channel gets deleted, you can't make money, and that's the only reason these channels even existed in the first place. It was the IRL GTA money glitch. If you patch the glitch, they won't exist anymore. Now, with ElsaGate out of the way, YouTube moved on to the bigger issue, which was the predator stuff. Now, what YouTube did may seem like a little, but it actually worked. Firstly, they banned comment sections on videos of kids so that they can't share links of CP. Obviously, this worked wonders, and it has basically single-handedly solved the issue. They also made it so that videos that mainly have kids in them can't be put into playlists so that you can't share YouTube playlists instead of CP. Obviously, this also helped, and where we're at right now with this issue, it's pretty much out of YouTube's control if pedophiles decide to grab videos of little girls. YouTube's done all they can, in my opinion, at least. Now, these changes kind of worked. On the predator thing, it pretty much completely wiped out this whole idea that predators were collecting videos on YouTube. It's very hard for them to do that now. Occasionally, things will pop up. Maybe a few videos might slip through the crack, but considering how bad it was and how good it is now, I think YouTube did a fairly good job at handling this. On the ElsaGate side of things, they also did a fairly good job of handling it. On YouTube, YouTube Kids, videos like or the actual old ElsaGate videos can rarely be found. Obviously, again, things are going to slip through the cracks, but once again, YouTube did a fairly good job. Now, after 2018, things kind of went radio silence on a lot of the kids' content discussion. Seemingly, YouTube had solved the issue. ElsaGate was no more, Predators had an extremely hard time compiling videos, they'd pretty much done all they could and all that was in their power, and it seemingly had worked. There was a little thing with COPPA where I think the US federal government kind of overstepped their boundaries, that kind of broke the law that they made in the first place regarding to YouTube. That's a whole different issue, but you get the fucking point. It was radio silence on kids' content for a while. Now let's talk about current day, okay? 2023, let's check up on the metaphorical roach infestation that was ElsaGate, and shit, the roaches are fucking back. Now, okay, to be fair to YouTube, it's not that prevalent on YouTube Kids as far as I've seen. It's relatively clean stuff over there, as the whole platform was intended to be, so I guess YouTube gets a thumbs up on that front, but on the normal platform of YouTube, it is a complete shit show regarding the ElsaGate stuff. Now, I don't want to like moralize over the ElsaGate stuff too much anymore, especially this newer stuff, because it gets a lot less views than the stuff in 2016 and 17, so I just want to laugh at these channels, okay, because honestly, that sounds a lot more fun than just going over the disgusting shit they're posting. Well, luckily for you, I have compiled a list of channels that are still doing ElsaGate related stuff. First up, we've got Hulu Wulu Animations, which is obviously an animation channel. Their channel is relatively good compared to some of the stuff that ElsaGate was really about in 2016 and 17, but the channel is still like, the thumbnails are weirdly violent. A lot of it is like bloody and stuff, but it's also really cartoony, and it looks higher quality than a lot of the stuff that ElsaGate was known for. The channel has 1.3 million subs, and it regularly gets over 1 million views. The second channel I have is one called Oxy Topsy. I don't know what the fuck name that is, but it's this Among Us channel, and it looks like instead of finding the imposter, they're trying to find the G-spot. The next channel I have up on the list is SonicCraft. This one's actually like really bad. I can't even joke about this one. It has like Sonic and Tails and other Sonic characters like getting fucking their limbs cut off, which is insane, right? Like, I don't know, just go into Live Leak if you want to see that shit, but luckily it hasn't posted in 3 months. The videos all have around 500k views with a few cracking 1 million, but you know, yeah, I can't even lie, that shit's pretty bad. I cannot show any of this also. Now, what do I personally want to happen to these channels? Well, nothing, okay? That might sound bad, but hear me out. Free speech is becoming a bigger issue every day with platforms like Twitter, basically just banning you for shit that is protected under the First Amendment, and if YouTube was to also start doing this, that could jeopardize my channel along with hundreds of other channels like mine, and it could ruin people's fucking lives, okay? So I'd rather have them just not take action against these channels, especially considering they're relatively small compared to the peak of ElsaGate. I guess in conclusion, I would say that ElsaGate's probably the worst trend that YouTube has ever had to face, and really that the internet as a whole has had to face. Whether it be cringy prank videos kissing your sister or shitty dream videos, at least we got good shit out of those, right? That Frucy video that Clown did is fucking amazing.
Lit like a bitch, all these bitches on my dick. Wanna fuck me, get they thick. I get no with the shit. Say you know about the hit. Too legit to quit. Hey, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Fucking crap! Gang shit. What are you fucking on about? There wasn't any gang shit. Where the fuck was the gang shit? You twat!
But the ElsaGate shit is just sad. It's just exploiting kids for money, which ultimately just harms every party involved except for the people running the channels. But really the biggest tragedy to come out of this entire thing is the fact that kids' content has just degraded over time. There's no educational value to any of these things, and I'm not going to moralize about the fact that, you know, everything has to be educational. I was brought up on shows like Teen Titans Go and Gumball Amazing Adventure Show. I forgot what the fucking name was, but those shows were not educational, but at least there was a plot. At least they were entertaining. These videos are basically just like tripping on LSD, literally. I mean, what the fuck, dude? I mean, that's going to do it for this video. Actually, no. We're not doing the outro this time, okay? Clearly, I have picked the wrong content to make, okay? The fact that most of these channels were bringing in more money than Walter White, I just gotta hop on this trend, okay? That's why we are rebranding here at the Kaiser channel to Kaiser Kids. We will be posting absolute dog shit content next week, okay? Let's fucking go! Okay, but for real this time, if you liked what you saw here, please like and subscribe. I've been the Kaiser. Peace.